Hi guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to tell you all about the different rations that sheep have. Essentially, sheep have different production cycles throughout a breeding season, and it's very important that you match the correct ration to each of these breeding cycles or production cycles of the sheep. And it's also important to match the animal's nutritional requirements during that specific cycle. So let's start off with the ewes. The ewes essentially have 5 possible rations that they would require throughout a breeding cycle. Firstly, it would be a flushing or breeding ration. Secondly, it would be a early gestation. Thirdly, a late gestation ration. Fourth, a early lactating ration. Fifth, a late lactating ration. Essentially, when it comes to your rams, there are 2 possible rations you could look at. So for your mature rams, they would either have a maintenance ration when they are not being used for breeding, and secondly, they would have a breeding ration, which they would be fed shortly before the breeding season kicks off. And lastly, when it comes to your lambs, you would have creep rations for your lambs during milking, and then also a weaning ration or finishing ration. So let's get back to the ewes. When you start off the breeding season, you would give the ewes a flushing or breeding ration. This ration will essentially be highly nutritious, have a high percentage of protein, and also meet the needed vitamin and mineral requirements of the ewe roughly 2 to 3 weeks before breeding starts. Most farmers supply the ewes with this ration 2 weeks before being joined with a ram and 2 weeks leading into the breeding season. By providing the ewes with a breeding ration, it allows for them to have a higher ovulation rate, and in turn also increases your conception rate. When it comes to the early gestation diet, this diet is provided after the animals have received the breeding ration and have been successfully joined. So you can also look at this ration as maintenance. So this ration lasts for at least 15 weeks of early gestation. Then we lead into late gestation. So late gestation, the diet would change a bit in the sense that you would provide less roughage to the animal and slowly increase the protein and nutrients that you supply to the animal, leading into the last 6 weeks of gestation just before lambing. Next up, we have the early lactation ration. So at this period, the ewe requires a high volume of protein and a high volume of sufficient nutrients for her to be able to produce good, strong milk for her lambs. During the early lactation period, the ration you supply to your animals should be highly nutritious and should contain good quality alpha hay and free choice straw or any type of roughage. The early lactation diet lasts for roughly 6 weeks. The first 4 weeks of these is important because this period essentially enables the ewe to produce the best high quality milk that she can for her lambs. After the first 6 weeks, you would lead into late lactation. Now the late lactation varies for farmers across the world because this depends if you have early weaning lambs within an intensive system or you have an increased lactation period, which can lead for another 6 weeks. It all depends on whether you're happy with the weight of your lambs at the end of this lactation period and they are ready to be weaned. The late lactation ration would still have a high source of protein within it, but you can add a lower variant of nutrition and supplementation during this time because this allows you to dry off ewes at the time of weaning and keep body condition to make them ready for the next joining. Next up, we're gonna have a look at your rams. So for the rams, their breeding ration would essentially have a high source of protein, good nutritional value, and good vitamin supplementation. You don't want to overfeed your rams with this breeding ration. So you should be very careful to balance your ration correctly. If you're unsure how to balance rations correctly, please have a look at the previous video we did on where I tell you how to formulate a sheep ration. When you balance your rations for your rams correctly, this can enable the ram to optimally produce high quality sperm when it goes into the breeding season. Next up, we have the lambs. So we all know that lambs nurse on their mothers from birth, leading for a period of 2 months. So during this time, it's also important to supply your lambs with good, sufficient creep feed. Creep ration could be either free choice, good quality alpha hay. It could be a 80 to 85% corn or maize meal mix with a 15 to 20% soybean meal. The creep ration, it's very important to maintain a 2:1 calcium to phosphorus ratio, because this enables the lamb to grow well and meet the nutritional and mineral requirements. And lastly, we would have a finishing ration for your lambs. So the finishing ration would be essentially a ration that's made up to keep the animal at a good condition score, but also to meet the live weight or carcass weight that you're aiming for your local market. That's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.